Prime, podcast for curious mind.
Halo, selamat datang di Uang Bicara, menavigasi kamu supaya tetap cuan. Bareng saya, Punya Anindita. Mengupgrade diri emang jadi satu hal penting ya, biar kita semua bisa tetap relevan dan bertahan di industri. Dua skill yang disebut-sebut esensial kalau kita lihat laporannya World Economic Forum adalah leadership dan entrepreneurship. Nah, ini ada program akselerasi yang bikin kita punya kedua skill itu dalam waktu singkat. Seperti apa sih Leadership and Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program atau LEAP ini? Udah bareng kita, founders dan co-founders LEAP, Tania Rashidi dan Datin Farida Iriani yang datang langsung dari Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yuk kita ngobrol di Uang Bicara. Selamat datang Tania Rashidi dan Datin Farida Iriani. Selamat datang.
Thank you for the invitation to come here.
Thank you for making the time. So I'm going to start with Tania first. Sure. So if I check the latest World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report, it mentioned that one of the most prominent skills to stay relevant is leadership. So why do you think leadership is important?
Well, nowadays with the technological advancements that you see, with ChatGPT, DeepSeek, there's a lot of assistance when it comes to you becoming your own self-expert. You have a lot of tools to help you enhance or augment your knowledge, basically. But that makes it, there's still some limitations to this technology. And the fact that there are limitations to this technology, human interaction is still very critical. And that is where leadership comes into play. As you need more analytical thinking because not every ChatGPT answer is correct. So you do need to have the analytical skills to be able to interpret the answers that you have, but also having the agility, resilience, leadership and social influential skills. I think those are key critical skills or soft skills that is still required regardless of all this technology advancements that we have or these tools that we have to assist us, that we no longer now have to be so focused on the technical side of things, but more on building these soft sides, this human interaction, that there are still limitations from the current technology that we have.
Human interaction, because more people, probably more headaches in the management.
That's right.
So that's the skill that we need to have. So to give a little bit of context to our audience, teman KBR, Datin sendiri ini sebenarnya juga adalah lulusan dari Oxford University, Masters in Innovation and Strategy. And you also consult SMEs for business performance improvement in various sectors. So other than leadership, entrepreneurship is also considered a valuable skill for the future. But I will say this, not everyone would like to start their own company, right? We're happy, part of the management in a company. But why is it needed? Why is entrepreneurship needed now more than ever?
Okay. So, as you know, that entrepreneurship is actually, or SMEs in any country, is the backbone of the country's GDP, the country's economy. Okay, in Malaysia alone, I think we contribute to about 40% of the country's GDP. If I'm not mistaken, in Indonesia, about 60% of the GDP comes from the SMEs, So with that in mind, so it's a no-brainer for any country or any government to actually promote entrepreneurship to the population of the country, especially in a population where, jobs is not easy with such a big population. Like Indonesia, you're talking about 280 million of your population. So hence, entrepreneurship is the backbone of the country's economy, and that is where the government has been investing. In Malaysia, we have so many agencies in Malaysia that is working on developing the country's SMEs. But SMEs is one, but which sector of the SMEs is also another. And everyone wants to launch themselves into entrepreneurship. It's such a sexy, exciting thing to do, especially now you have the social media and you have the e-commerce platform where where launching yourself into entrepreneurship is so easy. You don't even need a brick and mortar anymore.
Yeah.
You don't even need an outlet to do. It's so convenient and easy. But having said that, a lot of these entrepreneurs or people who launch themselves into entrepreneurship basically lack a certain kind of skills, the entrepreneurial skills. The whole illusion of being an entrepreneur is so exciting, but doing it and doing it well, and especially if you want to scale, that is where that challenge comes in. And that is how we actually at LEAP, that is where we will contribute in the form of the learning, or not only the classroom learning, but the experiential learning. Yeah. So LEAP is actually about leadership and entrepreneurship. And that is the three-pronged experience that we will bring to the table for the participants. The leadership is about the mindset shift, right? And that's what we do with the leadership, and that is delivered in a few ways. We either bring people who has been very successful in entrepreneurship and leading billion-dollar business, or who's even listed their business. And the entrepreneurship, we also present it in the form of the hard skill, entrepreneurial skills, like anything that has got to do with strategic frameworks, providing them with the tools for them to actually go back and implement it better. But there is another one component that came out from this program, and having done it for the last 13 years at our company, is that we realized that the network and the community that they actually embark on from the program. And because entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey, you know that, anyone who's embarked on entrepreneurship knows that it's not only lonely, it's very scary.
Yes.
It's a lot of fears, a lot of concerns. And you have to do it all by yourself, and you have to worry about your cash flow, you have to worry about your operations, So, and when they get together at a founders program like what we do with LEAP, that is when they actually think that their concerns, their problems, their fears are actually the same, that is shared by other entrepreneurs, and it brings them together. And that is one of the biggest impact or takeaway that we actually realize from the program.
Ya, jadi kalau saya boleh sedikit merecap dan apa yang menarik ya dari program ini, sebenarnya tidak hanya apa yang didapat dari ruangan atau dari kelas, tapi juga support system bersama dengan partisipan lain yang juga sesama pengusaha, founders, leaders, dan juga entrepreneur gitu ya, akan saling berbagi tidak hanya informasi tapi juga support begitu ya. And now to Tania, oftentimes when we talk about upskilling, upgrading ourselves, we often think about pursuing master's degree, but now you have acceleration program. But why do you think this is more popular amongst professionals?
So I would say the reason that it's very popular is the fact that I think short-term courses are more effective. Reason being, we are talking about very busy people here. We're talking about people who don't have time. Their mind is, especially if you're talking about entrepreneurs and founders, their mind is always occupied 24/7 actually. It's not a 9-to-5 job. There are people always looking to them to make decisions, looking to them. They have to think, strategize for future plans as well. So there's never a break for them. But sometimes having too long of a break is not possible because they can't let go, because they are the ones who actually create that business. They're the ones that build that business. So they need to be very hands-on with their business. So that's why we find this program to be very effective. We make this 6 days very compact. It's again what Farida said, which is a combination of experiential as well as classroom learning to make it as effective as possible as well. Because we know that they are the ones with no time in their hands. And we want to make this short. We want to make this compact. We want to make this effective. And another thing that we do is we take them to Oxford. So taking you to Oxford is different, is in a very different context to then being in Malaysia, for example, or being very somewhere where you're quite close to home. Because, we have some of the participants who come to us and they say, okay, when we're in Oxford, the moment we step our foot on the flight, it's like somehow our mindset is ready. now for the program. We know, commitment, we're a bit more relaxed. This is a way for us to take our minds off from our business, to allow us to focus more on ourselves, to focus more on what do we want to, where do we see our future? Where do we see our business going forward? So it's a 7-day program. I think with master's program, it can get a bit intense. You just don't have time to let go and let your business be. It's too nerve-wracking unless you've reached to a certain point of maturity. But this is not the case. Our target is we're targeting SMEs, and they're still at that growth stage. So we find this to be very effective, and that's the reason why we think it's better to do a short-term course versus something that is too long and going to take too much of your time and commitment. That in the end, you're not able to put in enough effort as well.
I like the idea that we can have all the important things crashed or in a crash course of 7 days. But what can we learn there? And why do you choose to partner with Oxford University? You both can answer.
So I think I'll start first then. So we break our program again to the 3 modules. So I'll focus a bit on the subjects that we teach within the entrepreneurship sector. So we start with setting the framework. So that's when we talk about strategies. The reason is a lot of entrepreneurs and founders out there, innovation is very natural for them. They're the ones who came up with these ideas. It's easy, it's fast, they're agile. But what's lacking in them is structure. And so having this strategy, the ability then to put your future plans in a more structured frameworks and applying the frameworks that is required, I think is something that is crucial. And that's how we start with our first part of our entrepreneurship journey. Second part that we focus on is marketing and branding. When we say marketing and branding, it's looking at creating brand value. And, in this case, for example, we have Space Dollar, who... Yeah, so...
Can you explain a little bit about Space Dollar and True Dollar? For lack of better words, I'm going to use the word key opinion leader or influencer, but just much more about him. Go ahead.
Okay, so Space Dollar is a very interesting person because he came in as a participant, but he also came in to share about his journey and his learnings as well to the cohort. So what he talked about is personal branding. So as much as I said about brand value and how to create that brand value for your business, nowadays, in this current context, you can have a very good business model, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it comes with also you having to be your own. You have to be the brand of the company. Basically, your own personal self. You have to be a brand. So I would give the case of Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. The names tied to the brands themselves. So that's the expectation nowadays. So True Dollar came in and he talks about personal influence of building your own personal brand. Going back to us, we think globally, but we connect locally. So we put it in the context of local context. So we thought Space Dollar would be the best person to share about his journey and share about his learnings to the cohorts because he'd be able to relate to the ASEAN context as well. So he gave his learnings. He taught the class on how to create your own personal brand journey. And I would say even a few minutes ago, he partnered with one of the participants and created sort of like a little reel or a little post on how they did a cooking session together. And now she launched her own social media web and it created with additional 1,500 followers in a day when 450K viewership. So what I'm trying to say is, so, it's that personal network, personal connection, and then Space Dollar then putting his teachings into real life application and seeing the results of it. But another subject that we teach is also omni-channel strategies and customer engagement. So customer engagement is so important nowadays in entrepreneurship. If you're not satisfied with your customer engagement, you're going to hear it directly from your social media. There's so many platforms now to complain and everything. So there was a classroom teaching for that. But how we made it different is we also had real life learning. So we had Bista Village, the management team within Bista Village, to come in and take the participants and the cohorts for a tour so that they can then understand what exactly is customer experience, in a global standard context. So they were then, they showed, there were sneak peeks, previews that we cannot share because they've made it, it has to be very exclusive and only cannot be recorded. So there's no proof of recording on whatever that happened during this Vista Village. But what the participants got to learn is how do you create a customer experience, especially from a retail perspective, which is so important for most of these founders. So that's the entrepreneurship portion, but I'll leave it to her.
So I just want to talk to you about the Vista experience. So the experience even starts from the time the train stops in Vista Village. So the train will stop at a few stops, but when they stop at Vista Village, the announcement will automatically come in 4 languages or 3. One is Chinese. The other one is Arab because of the shoppers, and English, and the other one is in Spanish, I think. So that experience starts from there. And then as you disembark from the train, you are seated in the train station, which is converted like an outlet, like a Gucci outlet. So the experience starts from there. And as you walk to get into Vista itself, you will hear birds chirping as if you need that kind of calm before you go and spend your millions or your thousands, you know? So
Who would have thought that is all curated?
It's all curated. Yeah, it's all curated. And you wouldn't know it until, they started explaining it to us. So that kind of calm, I guess the calm would probably be for the husbands or the men who will be spending their money on their wives' shopping. But it was beautiful. It was amazing.
But yeah, so, this is how you learn in class, but how do you apply or how do you observe the application? And we thought this was necessary as part of the design that this is how we designed the program intentionally for the participants.
So we were fortunate, and I think, and of course, because of our relationship with Oxford, we managed to get Vista to actually come out and actually tell the stories. And they themselves were good, they were experts in brands themselves. And they actually told us when you do brands, how important it is to have mascot. And theirs was a black bear that they had for Vista. So it says that, by having a mascot, it would increase your eyeballs to your brands by about 60% more, which is fantastic. So, everyone was busy taking notes and not even coming just from the Oxford professors, but these are the practitioners themselves. And that's why we value the role of practitioners in driving the teaching of our participants. And Tania, also maybe you should mention about we brought over Ahmad Tea London.
Teh Ahmad Tea. Teman-teman KBR siapa tahu sudah familiar. Kita suka lihat.
So they are now even taking over TWG in terms of their business revenue or their sales revenue. A very charitable organization led by 3 brothers from Iran. And one of the brothers, the founder, came over to the program and actually said how he brought the company or the business from nothing, from just a lab that they had in Southampton to now available in 88 countries all over the world with 200 million pounds in terms of revenue just from UK alone. So now it is they received the King's Award from King Charles themselves. It's his preferred cup of tea.
From homemade or artisan to global scale.
Exactly. So these are the kind of things that really inspire our participants when they're in that room, talking to people who were founders themselves and now has not only made it to the global scale, but has made it to 88 countries in Russia, in all over the world, and their people are drinking Ahmad tea now. So that kind of inspiration, and then they come back and tell how their journey is and what they stick to make that journey, and they're still very true, very authentic to their culture, which is Iranian and a Muslim family, with charities all over the world. The reason why they're not going IPO or listed is because they want to make sure that they can still control the charity of what they do with their Ahmad tea business.
Oh, very purpose-driven.
Very purpose-driven.
Okay.
There you go. That's the word.
So I think to tie it up, that's why we do it in Oxford.
Okay.
It's one to bring everyone out of a comfortable setting to a place where it's so steep in tradition. It's the oldest school, some of the oldest education centers. And so the place that you learn as well, the floors would creak and all that because it's so old. But it's so much history to it.
Yes.
And so much great people that came out of Oxford. So
It's the romance of it, right?
So being inspired by the setting itself, being exposed to speakers who are Oxford speakers, from Side Business School. And then the next part is then to see the standards, global standards of some of these practitioners, as we call it, like Ahmad Tea and Bicester Village. So that's why we do it in Oxford.
Yeah, I can sense that C-levels are interested. Young professionals will be interested.
That's right.
But do you think this program is also relevant and suitable for fresh graduates, Gen Z, and first jobbers, you think?
It is relevant in a way where we actually do have some young participants that came to join our program. They were about 22, 23. They came onto the program more from a family legacy. So they actually are part of
third generation.
second or third generation of business entrepreneurs, and where the founders themselves would want to expose their family members to being able to think more entrepreneurially and also have that leadership skill sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Itu tadi founders dan co-founders LEAP, Tania Rashidi dan Datin Farida Iriani. Kita lagi ngomongin soal pentingnya punya skill leadership dan entrepreneurship. Masih banyak yang bakal diulik lagi soal program ini, jadi jangan kemana-mana, tetap di Uang Bicara.
Bagaimana kamu melihat cinta? Seberapa jauh eksplorasimu soal cinta?
Nikah, pacaran, cinta aja nggak cukup gitu. Tapi kalau saya bilang cinta aja tuh cukup.
Makna cinta, Cile, aduh.
Pokoknya ketika bilang cinta itu gue cuma tahu kalau you fall in love with the person and the complete package of the person ya.
Cinta itu bisa menyenangkan, tapi cinta itu kadang rumit. Tiap orang punya ragam cerita cintanya. Love Buzz membebaskan kamu mendefinisikan dan mengalaminya.
Ekspektasi itu ada kayak banting-banting meja, banting-banting piring gitu.
Tapi gue ngerasa if I feel it, I need to say it.
Dengarkan Love Buzz di kbrprime.id. Tersedia juga di platform mendengarkan podcast lainnya.
Love Buzz. Membicarakan perkara yang tidak dibicarakan ketika berbicara perkara cinta.
Kau masih dengerin Uang Bicara, menavigasi kamu supaya tetap cuan, bareng saya Puri Anindita. Kita masih ngobrolin soal program Leadership and Entrepreneur Acceleration Program, bareng sama founders dan co-foundersnya, Tania Rashidi dan Datin Farida Iriani. Kita lanjut yuk. Makin seru lagi nih ya, jadi mikir, ini kalau misalnya kita mau ikutan, ada seleksinya, is there any particular selection process or is it more curated participants and how many participants in one batch?
So in terms of participants, our participants are limited to 35 to 40. Reason being, it's actually not quite a big group and we want to keep it quite close, knitted, because it goes back to the part where it's the third element that we want to achieve out of this program, which is the element of networking. The smaller the group, the easier that you see the natural connection that they make with each other. When it's too big, it's a bit hard then to find the commonalities. So that's why we keep it to 35 to 40. When it comes to the participant selection, we tend to want to focus more on industry, because we think it's better than to make it more tailored So it's all of our programs are very much bespoke. So it goes forward. It goes towards who is it that are our participants. The ones that tend to join are the retailers, and if it's retailers, then we focus more on branding and on marketing. But in the past, we've also had the aerospace, which I think Farida will elaborate more on this.
So when we started, because when we started the program, it was actually the government sending out these SMEs, and as part of the creation of global champions or creating unicorns, as you call it in Malaysia. So the government actually identified a few sectors, and all these sectors are very high value technology sectors. So we had aerospace, and we had shipbuilding.
Wow.
We had biotech, we had medical device, and we had electronics. So that was also, so we were talking about SMEs being the backbone of the country's economy, but the sectors that these SMEs were involved in, that also was a big contributor to the GDP contribution. So when they identified these sectors, so these were high value technology sectors, and in any industry or in any country, when it comes to building creation of global champions, it was always about producers, less of traders. So then that's when we actually worked with the companies, and these were B2B companies.
I see.
So they only do business with other OEM white labels and all that. So because of that, when we embark with working with Oxford and Accenture, that's how we managed to bring in Black Moss, a big Australian, what do you call that? Supplements manufacturer. And we also brought, managed to put in some of the products into Selfridges.
Wow.
Because and Boots too in England, Boots is everywhere. I'm not sure whether they are present in Indonesia.
Not Boots, but merek-merek yang mirip dengan itu, Guardian misalnya, or Century.
Okay, in Watsons, we managed to put also in Watsons. And also, so this was the international market penetration that the companies were coming to us for in terms of guidance.
I see.
So that was the sectors that we work in. But after that, we realized that the government also realized that it wasn't just the producers or the manufacturers that was contributing to the GDP of the country. It was also entrepreneurs that was doing the direct-to-consumer business, especially with the advent of the e-commerce platforms right now, you know. So then they said that, okay, look into these retailers or the direct-to-consumers or people who are doing B2Cs. And we realized that, of course, there was a lot more of them than those who are doing manufacturing. So that's when we started that hand-holding and also the LEAP program and how it evolved to become to what it is right now.
Wow. Okay. Now I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Yeah. How much would it cost? And is there any financial aids for participants from Indonesia? Goes to both Tania and Datin Farida.
Sure. Okay, so in terms of cost
or investment, you might say,
it's your personal investment. I would highly recommend this. You're definitely going to get value out of this before we get into the cost part. But total cost is for the program is 97 million Indonesian rupiah, and this covers the program fee. It also covers the transportation throughout the program, because the ground handling and everything, and breakfast and lunch as well. Okay. So there's also 2 dinners throughout this 5-day program, which is the first day would be the networking dinner. And that is where you sit with our guest speaker, have a bit of a casual session. And there's also the session on the last day where it's certificate presentation. And by then you're very close with each other. So it's about celebrating that you got through this whole 5-day journey. And we also have then other activities as well. So one of the fun activities that we had was punting. So everyone went for punting. It's an Oxford thing that everyone has to do.
Please explain. We're not familiar with what is punting. What kind of activity is that?
So this punting thing is you're on a boat with a very long stick and you have to push yourself.
Oh,
and we purposely did not get a punter. Usually you can hire a professional punter. Okay. But we did not, because we wanted everyone to, it's teamwork. It's
The
collaboration.
experience.
Yeah, it's the experience. So
Yeah.
there were some funny moments that happened. Phones that fell and somebody jumped into that murky water to save her phone. So I'm saying, it's value for money. So it's not just you're not just sitting in lectures, but the program then covers those aspects. Yeah.
Okay.
And in terms of financial aid, I would have to say I'm not familiar with any financial aid within the Indonesia, but
Yeah. In Malaysia, we have an agency that actually collects levy from all employers to contribute to their staff's or their employees' training.
Okay.
So that was a great help because then it sort of subsidized the participants' fees to attend the program. We don't know whether that kind of agency exists in Indonesia, but if it does, it is something that can actually help or assist the participants.
Looking forward to that. And I'll make sure this episode, the link, I'll put the link to all the important people making that decision.
Because I think skilling and, is a continuous process. And everyone knows that, the government knows that, especially when it comes to, the change in direction of the trends that is going on in the world. So now the government is encouraging people to go for this AI training and things like that. So those cost money. And for the employers to be motivated to send, they must actually, by contributing, then they know that there is a pool of money that they can have access to. And on our part as a training provider is to make sure that we roll out this kind of really high impact programs. And that's why our program was approved by the government, because they actually understood the value of it, especially with the kind of speakers that we brought together to the program itself.
I would say, because Indonesia itself, is the SME is the backbone.
Yeah.
It is.
It's 65% of total population are SMEs.
Yeah.
So that shows
60 over millions of SMEs.
No, 25%. Sorry, 25% of total population are SMEs, and it contributes to 65%
of the GDP.
So that's huge numbers here. And
great quantum.
yeah, and then it's this program. What value it brings is it helps to give from that global perspective. So we hope that that's something that the government can take note as well.
Nothing can compare to actually being tutored by the Oxford professors. They have the best research center. You're talking about AstraZeneca coming from that part of the world, from Oxford itself, not near, Nobel Prize winners, walking the same corridor as you. You have people who found the World Wide Web, who's still in Oxford right now, So, and their entrepreneurship accelerator lab is fantastic. So these are the kind of things that we will be able to expose to participants who's coming on board the program. Yeah.
Okay. When is the next batch within 2025?
So we have 2 more programs coming up, and that would be October 13 to October 17, as well as December 15 to December 19.
Ooh, Oxford during Christmas.
Yes.
In winter.
Christmas market.
Oh, okay.
Hot chocolate, apple cider.
Okay.
Yeah, churros.
Oh, looking forward to it. But also, this goes to Datin, any success stories from LEAP alumni that you think has experienced significant change in their business or career?
Yes. Yeah. So the ones that we have seen, of course, the one that have gone global, and one of them is product, and I'm sure this product is also this apparel product is present in Indonesia, and it's called Siti Khadijah, the son of the founder, who's also the group CEO, attended our program in 2019. And of course, he has brought a lot of good processes to the company. One of the processes that he's brought is, the quality control that he brings to the textile, the fabric that he uses, and then also patenting the technology of the telekung.
Yeah. Telekung itu kerudung kalau bahasa Indonesia.
Kerudung.
The Islamic wear. So, and the modest wear. So, and that is something that I think that shows his his international or first world approach to his business. And because he knows that this is how he's doing it, and this is what will take him to the global markets. And I know Munze personally, and he will say that he's very satisfied with the sales that he makes. Is about 100 million ringgit in Malaysia. How much does that work out?
Times 4,000.
4,000.
4,000 rupiahs. Yeah, we can look it up. That's okay. But that's huge. That's a significant growth.
Yes,
right?
So that's a significant growth. And he came back and he actually understood the power of having the right team. And since then, he employed the former CEO of Aeon, which is the biggest retail outlet in Malaysia, to work on in their company, and as well as employing non-Muslims even to help him to do their marketing programs for Siti Khadijah. I think these are all, like I said again, he brings the first world, the how to go to scale to international level, and that would be something that can make the business sustainable. A business as simple as making telekong has got technology now, which he has patented it. So now, anything that have this kind of technology where it supports the chain for the telekong in Malaysia is patent, and somebody has been sued for infringing that, in Malaysia. So these are the kind of things that that we at the Oxford program or the LEAP program built into it. So international market penetration certification was also one of the things that we actually built into the modules. Certification is because if you want to go in the international markets, you have to have CE marks, you have to have your FDA. So these are the kind of things that we actually put it into one of the work streams when we did the program before when we were dealing with the producers.
Yeah, different region, different certification, different country, different.
So because of different certifications, but we always go for the gold standards. And the gold standard is when it comes to health products, is the FDA in America. So if you can meet the FDA standards, you can meet any standards.
Excellent.
Yeah. So,
wow. So it is always nice to understand our potential through the eyes of a friend from neighboring countries. So what do you think is Indonesia's strength and room for growth when it comes to business, and something that we can offer to the global scale, global platform?
I think, Indonesia has so much opportunities, and you can see it from, you guys are a very strong country. Total population is huge. So that means opportunities naturally is huge. SMEs are the backbone of your economy, and that says everything, that you have that natural entrepreneurial skills that comes with part of that Indonesian blood as well. It's like, so I would say that when it comes to the strength, I see you have that very natural. There's that whole entrepreneurial opportunity.
That's right.
We always say that we neighboring countries, we're the same, but also very different.
Yes.
And it's always exciting and very eye-opening for us as well to learn about Indonesian culture and to learn about the Indonesian interests and everything and how it works. And so having this cohort together as well is good, because then it's the natural blend of understanding each other.
Yeah.
But to me, the way I see it, Indonesia, a lot of untapped potential.
Of course, market's so big. Market's amazing, sometimes even though in a crowded space like the retail sector, the market's big. There's a lot of the pie can also be shared with so many. And when with that kind of population, I'm sure talents is also in abundance. So it's about tapping those talents and to put it within your organization. And also the other thing I noticed is the level of creativity of this country. And I thought that is amazing, especially in the fashion industry, in the entertainment industry. Those are amazing things that has been coming out from Indonesia. And we really look forward. And I'm sure, when we go to the program, even the speakers themselves, they all are actually amazed at the kind of followers that some of the influencers, they come and they talk about millions, 4 million, 5 million from Malaysia. But I'm sure when the people from Indonesia comes, it's not 4 or 5 million. You will run into more than 20
Basically,
million.
Ayu Ting Ting has like the whole country following her.
I like that. We'd like to have Ayu Ting Ting, if you're listening. I hope to have you on board the program.
Okay, but having listened to what you said, I feel like the creative industry is more like overlooked,
Exactly.
or untapped lah.
Exactly.
Because when we talk about global scale, we
Correct.
talk about like manufacturing,
Correct.
in big industries or tech.
That's
but
right.
creative industry is something
Creative
that we can
industry,
tap more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what's next for LEAP? Datin and Tania?
So that ties back to what Datin says as well, which is we see that there is a gap actually in also the niche sectors. Such as design. And that is where we are now launching this program called Made in Italy, which is going to be from August 31st to September 5th. And it's a 5-day program as well, very short course program. But the whole point of this program is it's designed for designers, creative, those who are in the creative industries to understand about brand storytelling in detail. Because the Italians, they're known for they're known for their design and they're known for being able to sell their design as part of their brand. And, we're talking about from not only just fashion, but even typewriters come from the Italian. The design is so incorporated. Ferrari, Lamborghini, So this is about the storytelling. How is it that part of the Italian DNA is how is it that they manage to include craftsmanship into their brand, and how do they tell the stories to the world, and how have they been able to keep this going for centuries as well.
Okay, and this is August to September.
Yes, that's right.
Oke, teman KBR kita udah catat ya semua tanggal-tanggal penting. Kalau mau ke Italia, ini kayaknya khusus untuk teman-teman yang di creative industry. Itu Agustus sampai September. And for the LEAP with Oxford University, this coming October.
Yes.
And end of
December.
the year, that's December.
That's right.
Baru aja kita dengerin penjelasan soal Leadership and Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program langsung dari founders dan co-foundersnya Tania Rashidi dan Datin Farida Iriani. Kita jadi bisa belajar ya untuk selalu naikin skill kita, buka network, dan kalau kamu tertarik untuk ikut program ini, bisa cari tahu lebih lanjut di Instagram @OxfordLeap atau kunjungi webnya di bjecres.com. Sampai sini dulu episode Uang Bicara hari ini. Kalau kamu punya kritik, saran, atau masukan ide dengan tema ekonomi dan finansial, boleh banget loh ditunggu emailnya di podcast@kbrprime.id dengan subjek Uang Bicara. Saya Puri Anindita pamit, dengerin terus Uang Bicara menavigasi kamu supaya tetap cuan setiap Kamis di KBR Prime, Spotify, Noise, dan platform mendengarkan podcast lainnya. Bye for now.